Hi, I'm Shaul. When discussing dimensionality in photographs, that illusion of printed or displayed subjects, objects in a scene, looking as if they are alive, or as if they have some volume, some weight to them. There are a lot of references to light. Sometimes the shadows look too blue, sometimes they're not blue enough. Sometimes the background is too blurry, sometimes it looks too sharp. There are a lot of reasons why an image might look flat. My problem with those excuses, explanations, that it's all incidental, all anecdotal. Each image has its own reasons for being flat. It has to do with light. I agree. How can it not? Photography is all about light. And it is true that a component of side lighting emphasizes the dimension, the structure in the image. You can see it a lot in landscape photography, in architectural photography. You need some light coming from the side to model the scene. I think there is a bit of a confusion. The chance of obtaining a truly 3D pop effect, where the subject seems to jump out of the image towards you, is quite slim. Whatever equipment you use, whatever the light, it's like having very specific combinations of factors that you cannot really plan for, you cannot recreate. However, getting a more lifelike appearance of objects in the scene is not unusual. What I'm looking for in the photos I make of people is not 3D pop per se. It's a natural appearance where faces, figures look like they have some weight to them, like they have some volume. I don't like images where the subjects look flat, like a cardboard cutout. Images like that, that we are used to see everywhere these days, all look a little bit artificial. They demand some cognitive brain power from the viewer to interpret the scene, to see what's in front and what is behind. Ask every artist and they will tell you that the perception of three-dimensionality depends on two techniques. One of them is linear perspective, where subjects or objects further away from the viewer's eye become smaller. That depends on focal length in photographic terms. The wider the angle of view, the more exaggerated that linear perspective is. The longer the focal length, the more compressed the image will look like. The least difference in size between closer and further away objects. The second factor affecting the perception of dimensionality is shading, tonal gradation between objects that are directly lit and objects that are in the shade suggests the curvature of surfaces. This is how we experience the world in our daily life with our own eyes. That gradation, the fall off of brightness from lit to shaded surfaces must comply with the characteristics, the physical, the optical characteristics of our own eyes. Curvature implies not only the shape or form of subjects, it also affects the perception of distance, the physical, the tactile perception of textures. Have a look at the two circles depicted on the screen right now. This is a synthetic example. I made my best to make it as representative of photos as possible. The circle on the left is representative of what you may expect from a modern piece of optics. It is quite sharp. The gradations appear logarithmic, and the edge of that circle is sharp. There's a clear cut between the circle and the surrounding black background. That harsh gradation, fast transition between shadows and highlights makes us group together tonal ranges that are similar to each other. We don't look at that transition as continuous. We naturally group it into different segments. That makes us feel that it is not quite right. Look at the circle on the right. Here I blurred the image, that circle, a little bit. So the edges are a little bit fuzzy, and tonal gradation is more linear, more subtle. It appears continuous to us. So we can easily interpret that circle and imagine it's actually a sphere. I hope it comes through in this example. So the idea of tonal gradation, of a natural looking curvature, is quite crucial to our perception of three-dimensionality. Again, it doesn't only affect shape or the form of subjects, it also affects our perception of distance. I recently watched a YouTube interview with Peter Grabe, the head of optical design at Leica. And he acknowledged the challenge posed by high resolving sensors on modern digital cameras. The smaller pixel pitch, physical size of the photosites on the sensor require entirely new optical designs that emphasize accuracy. Now, optical designers achieve that by addressing two problems. One of them is the curvature of the individual optical lenses in a lens. The second one is chromatic aberration. It is the number one enemy of resolution. More and more low dispersion glass is used in lenses to fight that fringing, that chromatic aberration that causes rainbow effects on a micro scale. To be able to resolve photo size measuring about 3 microns, the whole camera industry is going in that direction. You need to completely eliminate chromatic aberration. Now, my problem is that by making lenses more accurate, the gradation becomes too harsh. Those low density types of glass, we refer to as extra low dispersion, are also low in refraction. Refraction is simply the angle to which the ray of light is broken while passing through a transparent medium. If you will, it's the resistance of the glass to light. Low density glass types usually have lower bending power. So they are more transparent to light. They don't resist light. By contrast, traditional types of optical glass, like crown glass infused with calcium mainly, or flint glass that is infused with heavier metals, offer more resistance to light. When the change of light angle is significant, you might obtain all sorts of aberrations. Oblique light hitting a glass surface might suffer some reflection, or at least some lateral movement inside the glass, which causes some blur. However, that blur, that inaccuracy, creates a more gradual, more subtle gradation. Let me show you how it works in a real-world example. I shot following still life scene with 3 different 50mm lenses. Nikon Z 50mm f1.8, which is a modern, sharp, accurate lens. It's almost an Apo lens. It eliminates chromatic aberration almost entirely. I shot it again with Nikon Z 50mm f1.4, which is a more traditional lens design. It does not contain any ED glass. And I shot it the third time with a 7 Artisan 50mm f1.1. That lens is a hybrid between a traditional planar and a traditional sonar design. It contains some thick chunks of dense glass that give it a high refractive index. The images obtained from it are lower in contrast. They look a little bit foggy. Now, if I play those 3 images in a succession, you might notice how the perception of three-dimensionality changes between those lenses. The image made with a 50mm f1.8 is obviously the sharpest, but it is also the highest in contrast. And it might look a little bit flatter than the images obtained with the two other lenses. The Nikon 50mm f1.4 is somewhere in the middle. And the 7 Artisan lens makes the most low contrast, foggy image. But it is also the most three-dimensional out of the three. I hope you can see it. Look at the actual brightness values those three images created. Of course, they were shot with the same settings, same exposure settings. All of them were shot at f4 with a shutter speed of 1/125 and with an ISO of 3200. The brightness of shadows seems to be quite similar between those lenses, but as we go to brighter parts of the image, we see a difference starting to form. The most contrasty lens, containing some ED glass elements, creates the brightest highlights, while the lower contrast lens, the 7 Artisans, creates the least bright highlights. The linear gradation offered by the 7 Artisan lens matches the way we see the world. It looks the most three-dimensional directly out of camera. Now, of course, you can manipulate contrast after the fact in post-processing, but it is not easy to reduce contrast. It's much easier to increase it. The gradation might also affect the way colors are reproduced. Look at a crop of this lemon in the front. You can see that the color changes between the photographs obtained by the three lenses. In the shot taken by the Nikon 50mm f1.8, the yellow portions of that lemon are really emphasized, while the green portions are somewhat suppressed. It's not only a matter of brightness, it's also a matter of balance between different wavelengths. The 7 Artisans portrays this lemon differently. There are more nuances to the colors, to the hues in that lemon. And it looks much more similar to the way it looks to the naked eye. The Nikon 50mm f1.4 is somewhere in the middle. In my experience, lenses have a major effect on how we perceive photographs. The effect of the lens on the rendering of the image is systemic. It is predictable by looking at the design of a lens, by the chemistry of the glass it uses, by looking at the MTF chart, specifically seeking lenses that have a hierarchy of contrast, where high frequency contrast is much lower than low frequency contrast. And you can also weigh the lens in your hand. If it's dense and heavy, it might have a more lifelike look because it contains higher density glass that promotes this dimensional effect. I have skin in the game. I got rid of a dozen lenses that I didn't like. They just create flat, sterile images. And it cost me quite a lot of money, unfortunately. Expecting the whole optical industry to go back to more natural rendering designs would be naive on my part. Technology moves forward. Resolution gets higher and higher, and lens designers have to respond to that. Moreover, most of the market does not really understand this relation between contrast and lifelike portrayal of photographs. So there is not much demand for older, more traditional designs that do not make the most out of those high megapixel sensors. But at least give us something to bite on, something that looks more natural, more dimensional to a human viewer. That will be all for today. If you find this video helpful, if you like other videos on my channel, please consider buying me a coffee. It's a nice gesture between gentlemen. You'll find the link in the description below. Thank you for watching, and see you again soon.